Good morning to all of you. So I just want to tell you that, gosh, this new year is just going to bring so many new things and so many amazing things, not just for myself, but for everyone else and my family. And this year, my goal is to get as many people as I can to have a personal relationship with God. Why? Why, you ask? Well, so there's many reasons why. And as you can see, I've done a lot of documentaries. You can kind of get an insight on where I was a little over 3 years ago. And I have to tell you that I didn't know God until 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, actually, October 2016. And a lot has happened since then. A lot has changed. My mind has been totally blown away by so many good things and so much knowledge. And I just hold it all to God, and I just thank God every day for this life. I thank God every day for the food on my table. I thank God every day for my kids and our health and just everything in this life that we are just so blessed to be able to have. I don't take anything for granted. I'm very grateful for everything. And, you know, a little over 3 years ago, I wouldn't be able to say all this stuff now, but I can say it now because I do know God and I have God within my heart and I love Him. And I have such a personal relationship with Him that I know that if I ever need to turn to anyone, I know I can turn to Him. And I know that deep in my heart, I feel the Spirit just running through me. It's just such amazing and exhilarating feeling. And, you know, a lot of people like to judge everybody. And that's the one thing that I have to say, that God just doesn't like that very much. You know, God doesn't want us to be judgeful, judging on everybody. He really wants us to be loving and caring and kind and respectful to each other, and for us to just embrace the good and the bad with each other. And that's the thing, is that our world, as you can see it, is just totally, it's not even just this country. I'm in the United States, and it's not just this country, it's the world. And everybody wants to say, oh, well, it's the president that's doing this. It's, their president that's doing this. It's their leaders that are doing this. No, we all as a unit, because God created us to love each other and to be kind to each other and respectful to each other, and gave us this world that we're living in. And it was made so beautifully, and we just take it all for granted. And you see, it's all of us. It's all of us. All of us have to come together. All of us have to start understanding God's way, not our way. Because let me tell you something. In the end, God's way is only going to be good. So our way has many different turnouts. It could go one way or the other, but God's way can only go one way. It can only go good. But in the moment, sometimes we're in a moment, or we're in a situation where we're feeling lost, and we're feeling like, everyone has failed us, and the world has failed us, and nobody's there for us, and that, we just don't have anybody. But we have God. And the thing is that we think we don't have anything. But in the moment, what happens is that you expect, you, I, we, us, all in this world, we expect so much of everyone, so much of everyone else. And we expect it now. We expect things to be now. But the thing we don't understand is it's not now. If you notice, not everything comes now when you want it. If you look back and you look at things and you're like, wow, like, look at where I am now to where I was years ago. Like, all these things, all these blessings and everything, you had to wait for that. No, it's not even just about waiting. It's all in God's timing. Everything. The path is all God's path. It's whether you want to believe it or not, whether you feel like you want to go down God's path, or whether you just think that, your way is just going to be the way, and that's not the way. Sorry, I just got back from the gym. So I'm like, I just got back to the gym, finally. I feel so good. I feel so good. I just was feeling like just really bad inside, and I just knew I needed to just change my whole routine and get back to eating healthier. And so anyway, so I look back years ago and I think about all the things that I was just so upset over and so distraught over, and I thought to myself, like, how am I ever going to get through this? I'm not going to go into details. If you're just watching this now, there's been a lot of stuff that has happened, and I need to extend the documentaries that I have done and extend it into this, because so much God has given me. And I'm not talking about materialistic things. I'm talking about just in my heart, like forgiveness. Like, forgiveness is one of the most amazing things in the world that is such a gift, Like, people think that, like, so-and-so did something to me, or, let me tell you something. I've had a lot of people do a lot of things to me, and I still do to this day. And yet, somewhere in my heart, I could still love them. I can still forgive them, and I can still walk with no grudge, no judging, no nothing. Granted, it brings back things that have happened when I continuously see these people doing these things, and it's like, I just pray for them, because they really know not what they do. They don't know what they're doing. They have no idea. Like, I didn't really realize, like, how much anger and frustration and hurt I was feeling, and I was holding on to all these years. And I was starting to feel lost as a person. I completely felt lost. I was like, what am I doing with myself? What am I, like, mentally, emotionally, and physically? I was just so drained, and I was losing who I was. And here I was, at that time, I was a mom, not only of my oldest child, who's been, and I have to say, has been totally alienated from me. And it still continues, even at age 22. And it's, I'm not even going to get into that. So anyway, it all stems back from that. And I can tell you that as a mom, especially becoming a mom at 16, when you're a mom at 16 years old, like 16, like my middle child, he is going to be 16 in less than a month. And I can't imagine him being a dad at 16. Like, I can't imagine that. And I look at him and I say how immature he is, and how much I would have to be there for him, and I would have to guide him, and I would have to just help him, and I would never give up on him, because he's so young. And it is happening. There are children who are having children, and it's really tough. It's tough because you're still in school, and it's tough because you're still trying to figure out who you are in the world, and it's tough because there's all this judgment also around you, like from your family and from just people that don't even know you, and people who know you. You have all that, and you get insecure, and you're having all of these emotions and feelings at that age. And when you have a baby on top of it, it's really tough. And especially when your life, you have two parents who are divorced and been divorced most of your life, and you've had a pretty rough upbringing most of your life, and here you are having a baby, bringing this child into the world. And what do you think? Like, there's not going to be any mistakes made, that there's not going to be anything that goes wrong? And as a mom, and I'm 38 years old now, and I have my daughter who is 5, going to be 6 in May, and Nicholas, who is going to be 16 in February. And then I have my oldest son, who's 22, just turned 22 in November. And the 22-year-old is not with me, and has been alienated for many years, over 17 years. And basically, what I see now, and maybe I didn't have the words to say it then, I just basically watched it, even though I didn't know the words to say, or I didn't have the words to say years ago, but I actually watched. I couldn't figure it out, but I figured it out now. Like, I watched my child be poisoned. He was poisoned, just like the world is being poisoned right now. I watched my child being poisoned, and as a mom, I couldn't do anything about it. And the corrupt court system, did nothing. And I didn't just sit back and do nothing. I spent most of 17 years in and out of court for a very long time. And it was very tough, and it was very stressful, and there was just so many things that came from that. And I was young still. I was still young. And, now that I'm 38 years old and I have 2 other children, I'm married. My husband and I have been together for 17 years. And we have Nicholas and Stella. And they really don't know their brother. And it's really difficult. And I have to speak out about certain things because it is the truth. It is the right thing to do. Because how will anybody like my child ever know if they don't give me a chance? So how can I speak out where I can just get the point across? Now, years ago, I don't know how, I handled it the only best way I knew how to, because I was frustrated, I was angry, I was exhausted, I was emotional. I was all of those things because of everything that I had to go through and everything I had been through. And it's like, and then watching my child go through all of that was not fair to him. And it's because of people that live in this world today that just don't get it. They need to wake up. They need to stop being so selfish and so self-centered and thinking just about themselves. We're in this world together. And when it comes to a child, it's difficult. So I overcame a lot. I came a long way. And I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself that I can say that I found my way to God through my son. My son, who's 22, brought me to God because in October 2016, a last conversation I had with my child completely broke me into a million pieces. What I thought I was holding together with strength. And meanwhile, I just had my daughter, and, my son, Nicholas, is just growing up, and it's tough. And so I just broke. I completely broke with that last conversation. And I was like, wow, like I have completely lost. And at the moment, I felt like I was losing everything, but really, I didn't lose everything, okay? What I lost was a love. And I didn't even lose that in my heart. I lost a love that a mom can only have for her child. And no matter what you try to do or how you try to rip that child away from a parent, the love is there no matter what. Like, there's a bond there that just doesn't ever go away. I don't care what anybody has to say. And it's still there, and it's never going to go away. I just had an incident, and I was just completely broken for 4 days straight. I was completely broken in my heart. And even though knowing God, and I know God is leading me, and I know God is guiding me, and I know that I love God, and I just give it all to God. And you know what? Right now, I am stronger than I was 4 days ago. Well, actually, now it's almost 5 days ago. I'm stronger than I was. I'm stronger than I ever have been today, right now, in my whole entire life. And I owe it all to God. Because, and why I say I owe it all to God, people say, well, don't you owe it to your husband? Don't you owe it to your other kids? Don't you? Yes. Are you kidding me? I owe it all to all of them. But it's God that has given me all of that. And it is God that puts us in situations sometimes that it may be the only way that you're going to find God. You know what I mean? So sometimes we go through really tough times. We go through really, really tough times, because let me tell you something. a loss of a child that is still walking the earth is beyond any kind of hurt or pain I can possibly describe to you, but yet I'm standing here and I'm strong and I am faithful in God, and I know that God is real because I see it. I see it, I feel it, I feel the Spirit running through my body, through my heart, through my veins, through my blood. I feel it. And I want that for the world. I want that for the world. I want the world to feel that and know that it's okay. You can get out of this situation. You don't have to be angry anymore. You don't have to be hurt. You don't have to feel rejected. You don't have to feel lost or unwanted or not loved. You don't have to feel any of those feelings. Because let me tell you something, people who have been alienated, all you parents, let me tell you, I know how you felt. And actually, I was an advocate for a while, a long time, for parental alienation. And I had to walk away from that for a while because I had to go on my walk in faith. I had to go on my journey with God and be with God and have that personal relationship with God. And I had to go to Him. I had to ask God for healing, and God has healed me mentally, emotionally, physically. There is no such thing as I can't. There is no such thing as any of that. You can with God, and I am living proof of that. And that is why I'm getting on here right now, and that is why I'm telling you this, and I'm letting you know that you can get through anything, any kind of loss, any kind of anything you can get through with God. I promise you, if there's one thing that I can promise you in this life, because I'm human and I still make mistakes, and there are things sometimes I say and I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I just say that? And I'm falling to the floor and repenting to God because I'm just like, that's not me. And the enemy he is truly the enemy. And I don't even like to put a name to him. I don't even like to even mention him because he is not welcome in my life. But the enemy does walk around this world, the world, trying to seek out people to destroy them, to kill them, to murder them, to destroy their minds. That is what's happening in this world today. And our country, our world, everything is all torn apart right now because of hatred. Do you know where hatred comes from? It comes from the devil himself. It comes from Satan. It doesn't come from God. So let's get that straight. If you have a hateful bone in your body, if you have a feeling of holding a grudge, or you just are feeling hurt and you just want to get back at someone and you're being spiteful, let me tell you something. That doesn't come from God. That comes from the devil himself. You know, I can turn to the alienators, and I have. I can forgive the alienators, and I have. And I actually have them in my life. People who have deceived me and lied to me, and still kind of doing that, and even bringing my son into it, my middle son, you know. And I'm still forgiving, and I'm still loving, and I'm still passionate, and I'm still caring, and I'm still kind. Why? Why do you ask that is? Because it can only be done through God. It can only be done through God. You think that you're going to get justice in the courts? When the attorney said to me, like it's not 6 years ago. What is it? So 2016. So like almost 4 years ago, I spoke to this attorney, and I never really understood what the attorney meant. And he said to me, you will never find justice in the courts. The only way you're going to find justice is with God. And this is an attorney telling me this. And I said, you're crazy. I don't even know what you're talking about. This is before I even found God in October 2016. This is before I even reached that point. And I was just like, whatever. I don't even know what you're talking about. That's crazy. Like, the courts are supposed to be there for us, giving us justice. But I realize now it's not. The courts, they're corrupt. They're not going to give you justice. You can fight and fight and fight. And I'm not telling you not to fight, because I fought till I couldn't fight anymore, till my kid was old enough to where I couldn't even fight. There was no point in even fighting anymore, because my child was old enough to make his own decisions. That's when I stopped fighting, okay? So I'm not telling you if your kids are little to stop fighting, because you still got to fight the good fight, you understand? But you got to fight it with faith and in your heart. You got to have God there, okay? I'm telling you this because justice is with God. You will only find justice with God. I found my justice. I might still be alienated from my child, and that's okay. And I know that God has a plan, and his plan is much more greater than my plan. And that is why I will let God lead me, because I trust in God's plan. And I want that for the world. I want the world to trust in God's plan. I want the world to just stop fighting with each other and realize that it's God's plan. It's not ours. And these things that happen, they're happening because God is putting his hand upon the earth. And he's had enough. God has had enough. He's had enough of it all of it. He has given us everything. God has given us everything. He's given us his son who gave his life for us. He has given us everything. And yet we, the people, man, continue to take and take and take and not even for a second trusting God's path. Trust in God's path, because his path is the only right path for you. Trust in him. And I leave you with that. And I gave you a lot of stuff. And let me tell you something. God bless the alienators. God bless these people who are killing people. God bless you. God bless the world that is in chaos right now. God bless all of you who don't understand. God bless you. I pray that you will understand. I pray that you will find God within your heart. I pray that we all will be able to be united, all countries, the world together, united. Can you imagine how amazing that would be? Just think about that for a second. You know, we're so busy in our lives that we don't think about this kind of stuff. We're just going and going and going, and we don't think about the real thing that's going on right now in this world. It's not about global warming. It's not about any of that. We're doing that. We're all doing that. We're doing that with hate. The hate is consuming the world. We have to stop. And I don't care if people call me crazy. I don't care if I lose all my friends, because I have my family, and I know God has blessed me with my family. And my family will stand by me no matter what. And I know that because my husband and I have been through so much. And the love that him and I have for each other and the understanding that we have for each other is just amazing. And our children. And of course everybody wants friends. Of course everybody wants family. Of course everybody wants that. I want it all. I want all in love and light. But people are mean. And we have to stop being mean, and we have to love each other and realize that, you know what, we're not perfect. And hey, I'm sorry, I messed up. Hey, you know, it's okay. It's okay to be like, you know what, I did that. That's repenting. Do you know that? I did that, and I was wrong for that. That is you repenting. The world needs to repent. That is very important. We all need to be repenting. Those are sins. We need to be telling each other, I love you. I'm sorry. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't understand. But I understand now. And I do understand that we all come into faith very differently. We all come into our faith at different times in our lives. We have to sometimes go through really tough situations in order for us to come into our faith. I realize that. I get it. And I came into mine 3 years ago, and I'm still growing, and I love it. It's amazing what I'm just getting every single day. I get so much. And I just want the world to have that. I want the world to have that and more. You know, everybody should have that and more. It's all because of God. We owe it all to God, all to God's glory. We hold it all to God's glory. I hold everything in my life to God's glory, and I do this for God. I am on here right now doing this for God because I know that God is amazing, God is good, God is love, and God's path is the only right path. Our path will never be our path that we choose. The path that we choose as human beings could never be greater than God's path for us. So I share this in love and light, and God bless you all, and I love you all, and I hope you all have a blessed day and a blessed, happy new year.